Good evening everyone and welcome along to League of Europe. We are here for F1 2021. It is Season 7, it's Division 1, which I forgot to put in the title. It is Round 8 of the Championship as we take in the Bahrain Grand Prix from the Sakhir International Circuit. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as always on a Saturday night. And joining me in the comment box, it is the 4-time League of Europe F1 champion. It is of course NSX Montana. Montana, how you doing?
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, as you can hear by my voice, I'm not doing well, but we'll just move on and overlook and overhear that. And I'm looking forward to this race.
Definitely looking forward to this race. Of course, it is Bahrain. I've already put a prediction out there before we even start the stream that Connor will win tonight. He is in the lobby, which I can see. That's a start anyway. So Connor, for me, pole position, possibly going to be on the cards for him, certainly. And Packer has said that he's switched the side for me. Thank you very much, Packer. I realised that just as literally as I clicked on the stream. I was going to click on your stream, by the way, Packer, if you're listening. And I literally saw it and thought, oh yeah, I haven't put Division 1 on the title. But there we go anyways, it's sorted. Justas leading the way, 116 points. Of course, he won last time out. Second position, of course, last time I went to Connor. Very good race from him, actually, in Jeddah. And nearly got Justas all the way to the line. And in third, of course, was Ruta that day. And what that do to the championship standings? Well, as I say, Justas leading the way on 116 points. Campbell in second on 94, so the gap extends to 22 points. Big gap, I've got to say, even at this part of the season. Connor there in third on 53 points, slowly beginning to edge that gap back into Campbell. Verstappen in fourth on 48. He got his 5-second penalty removed, so he gained a couple of positions as a result. Jensen in fifth on 46. Yildirim in sixth on 41. Izzer in seventh on 39. Nathan in eighth on 38. Ruta in ninth on 31 after his first podium of the season. And Jeroen in 10th position on 29 points. Neo, Rocco, Pease, Dylan, Killer Blue ran off the top 15. Packer, Stephen Arsh, Kumbly, Marine, Nuth ran off the top 20. Rudy and Fleddy, the only other drivers that have picked up points. Cantera, Macho, Lix and Pyro. Macho I know has left the league, or he's been kicked out, one of the two. And Pyro, of course, brand new reserve. I think he might be making his debut here tonight, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And obviously Montana coming in tonight, Justas holding that 22-point gap. I've got to say, coming into tonight, that is a big gap to hold even at this part of the season.
Yeah, that's a comfortable gap that allows you to have one mishap happening in a race and just gives you that bit of confidence that you have the pace and you have the consistency so far. But we've seen that a couple of times in LOE. It just takes 1-2 races and they're back into it. But that's also the gap to P3 is quite big, so at the moment it just looks like it's Campbell against Justas. And if Connor wants to get involved, he actually needs a couple of more wins. He said he didn't like the track, but you never know with him. His time management is supreme, so he might have a shot today, but obviously it's pad heaven, so we can't forget other drivers. But yeah, Justas looking good so far.
Yeah, Justas, of course, looking good so far. As people can hear, Montana is struggling with his voice, so I'll try and do the lion's share of the work tonight and let your voice rest up as much as possible. In terms of the constructor standings as well, before we get going, we've got about a minute to go until we actually get underway. Mercedes into the lead in the constructors on 142 points. Ferrari in second at 128. It's like the olden days between the two fighting out. AlphaTauri in third on 99. Alpine in fourth on 94. Alfa Romeo in fifth on 70. Red Bull in sixth on 66. McLaren in 7th on 44, Aston Martin in 8th on 34, Williams in 9th on 21, and Haas in 10th on 12 points. And of course, still sponsored by Uralkali, still of course in the game. In real life, of course, that game, that sponsorship has been taken, of course, due to ongoing events as we all know about. But Montana obviously going into tonight, Mercedes leading the way by 14 points, not a significant margin. What do Ferrari have to try and gain here tonight? Basically, you would imagine they've got to outscore both Mercedes drivers.
Yeah, 14 points is nothing in a Constructors' Championship, so just need to keep performing. And with Rudy in the second Ferrari, I think this could be a track that suits him a bit more. So he needs to start delivering as well, so he can take the fight to Mercedes, who themselves have left some point in the table the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely so. Hopefully for the sake of Montana's voice here tonight as well, that we do not get a good race. because your voice is probably going to go, I would say, halfway through the stream, maybe 3/4 of the way through the stream, if it is still a very good race. But of course, we are here in Sakhir. It is the Bahrain Grand Prix, of course, at the Bahrain International Circuit, to give it its full name now, or the Sakhir International Circuit, either or. 5.4 kilometres and then 3.3 miles, 15 turns awaiting our drivers out on track. Of course, 3 DRS zones, 1 down the start-finish straight, 1 up towards turn number 4, and 1 in towards turn number 11 as well. Plenty of opportunities for overtaking, and also plenty of opportunities for invalidations, like turn 13, which I know the stewards are looking at.
Yep, tricky track, but at the same time it's just DRS 7 in the race. But you need to keep the car within the white lines. Not known to get many penalties, but if you do get one, that can cost you very much the points, and even more sometimes. So yeah, have to be careful. Just keep it on track, don't extend too much, which is possible on some parts. But there's also some curbs on the outside which can punish you if the steward doesn't.
Yeah, especially turn 12, I think. Turn 12 through turn 13, probably one of the trickiest trickiest double right-handers, basically, on the game. And if you get caught wide on that curb, you're going to end up going through the car and pretty much killing the car into the wall on the right-hand side. That's why I give it the nickname of Car Killer Corner. And to remind you, actually, of what happened, and for the benefit of Montana, he'd be hating me by actually going back to this, Cantera won the first race of the season last season in Bahrain. Verstappen finished in second, Rocco finished in third, so we've got 2 of the 3 drivers here tonight by the looks. Cantera obviously not competing this season. Verstappen there in second, Rocco there in third. They'll be aiming to be up towards the top end of the vanguard once again, and for everyone's reason who didn't realise what happened to Montana, he was pretty much leading the safety car and he spun, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're going from race to race, and every race I feel like I bottled it last season. So it's still somehow wonderful at the bloody championship. But yeah, that was a painful one. There's like this elevation change between the 2 hairpins, and I don't recommend warming up the tires there, but we'll see if I'm gonna be the only one.
Yeah, hopefully nobody channels that tonight. They might have been watching race replays back of Bahrain, and then they just saw that moment and thought, oh yeah, I might try a bit of that tonight. Hopefully nobody does. Jensen, the first man out on track. And of course, Jensen, in terms of his position last season, he finished 14th in the standings. He's looked a lot better, I've got to say, this season in terms of his overall result. Looking at his points goal so far this season, Jensen has already got, well, 46 points, so pretty much the same amount of points he scored last season he's already gained. I think, honestly, he's one of the most improved drivers in the field. He's been really good in PSGL F1, obviously making his debut there this season. He's also been really good in TTML, obviously leading the championship in F1. He took the first round around here in TTML. He's got Nathan in front of him, a very old rival. Jensen, for me, has been one of the most improved drivers. What can he do tonight in qualifying to put it up there?
Yeah, he's probably the most improved driver, as you said. He's got so much potential. He's shown it in the season, but he's also shown that he's not really put in the results he could have. So he just needs to qualify at the front, and then we know he's a strong one. So top 4 for him in qualifying, and I'll have him on for a high podium position.
Very interesting indeed. Nathan is the first man out on track, though he's interestingly on a set of soft compounded tyres. Jensen, of course, you saw on that set of medium compounded tyres. Nathan coming through turn 1 and 2, and then through the right hand of turn number 3. Of course, a very familiar track to you and me if you've been watching F1 testing all weekend. Sometimes, obviously, it's been live streamed on Sky Sports over here. Nathan coming through turn number 4, and then into the left hand of turn 5. 27.5 through the first sector. That's a quick first sector, I've got to say, for a banker lap. Coming through the right hand of 6 and 7, and then into the right hand of turn 8, of course, where Lance Stroll famously rolled it in 2021, or 2020, one of the 2 years, anyways. Coming through the double left of turn 9 and 10. One of the most satisfying corner complexes, I think, on the F1 game. You get that right, like Nathan has just done. It's so pleasurable on the eye, which is really good to you and me. Nathan coming down in towards turn 11, down the old F2 pit straight, of course, and then, of course, they all go on the outer loop around this part of the track. Nathan coming through the right-hander now of turn number 12, Car Killer Corner. You get caught on the curb there, you'll probably end up in the wall and out of the session. Nathan 104.2 in the middle second. We should be seeing 103.9s, 103.8 as we get towards the end of the session, but Nathan on the run down and towards turn 14 and turn 15 has looked Really good, really clean, crisp lap from Nathan. This should be a 25, I think, to start off the night. Nathan around the final corner, on the run to the line, and it is a 25 to start the night. It's a mid-125. That's a very good lap from Nathan. Nathan, I remember, actually, if I'm not mistaken, he was up there last season in terms of getting, not pole position, I don't think, but Nathan out on top, 25.5. That's a very good lap.
Yeah, that's a decent lap. We saw Verstappen also in the 25s right now. So 2 power players at the top. I wonder if that's going to be something today, as Mutu pops it into P2. Saw Connor invalidating his lap, maybe even on purpose. So he's got a delta time for maybe medium run coming up. He was quite far down, so he wasn't really going for it as well. As Isa is putting it into P2, the joystick player. Absolute beauty. And Jurbeam, another pad driver, into P2. So we already see a couple of 25s, which is impressive for the banker laps.
Yeah, we should be seeing, I think, pole position normally around here. I've seen 25.1, 25.2. We should be seeing around that, if not quicker, here tonight. Nathan the Wad on top, Yulbream in second, Izza there in third. Yulbream on his lap looked very, very clean through the final sector. He lost a bit of time coming through that middle sector, and that is why Nathan is out on top of him by about 700ths of a second so far. Nathan the Wad on top, Yulbream in second, Dylan in third. Will come on board with Connor. He's now on his lap coming through the middle sector. Don't think he's actually on a representative lap here. Packer's just getting out of the way of him to the right-hand side. Connor, I should say, coming through turn number 13. Now on the run down towards 14. You can tell by how much speed he's carrying running down the straight, and the fact that he's got no ERS on this actual run. He's probably going to be coming maybe into the pipeline. No, he's going to actually finish this lap on the run towards the line, and Connor goes 12th. 27.9. Inevitably, we know he can go a lot quicker than that, and so far he's not actually using up any ERS, so seemingly like, obviously running no ERS, he's saving all of this up. He'll probably come into the pit lane once again, and he probably will end up improving towards the end of the session, I would think.
Yeah, that's an interesting strategy. I don't really know where he wants to go with it. I suppose he tries mediums, but then mediums are so slow in this track. We see with Campbell, he's over a second off, and he's a decent driver, I would say. So yeah. And Killblue just randomly pops in the purple first sector. But I'm not sure whether that's a glitch or not, but he's going for it right now.
Yeah, Nathan out on top, Yilbrim in second. Dylan, by the way, went third as well. So good lap time by the McLaren man. Is there in fourth? Not sure who you were on board with, because I was totally messaging somebody there. Campbell and Pease, I think, are on laps. They're not actually on laps. But Killer Blue is on a lap. He's coming through the middle sector. I think he got a little bit of tow, actually, from Connor. And now Killer Blue's coming through the middle sector. The Brit, of course, coming through turn number 12. And he's instantly gone off into the wall. And that is his session, I thought, run. But luckily he's got front wing damage on the left side end plate, and the way he hit the wall, very, very hard indeed. But that is why I call it Car Killer Corner. Exactly the reason why. If you get too layering, if you've got hardly any downforce going through turn 12, all you're going to do is go off to the right hand side, pretty much ended up in the wall. I've seen cars and plenty of crashes through there as well in my time as in commentary. But Killer Blue was looking good up until that point. Back into the pit lane. He's still down in 17th position. Obviously going to improve later on in the session as well.
Yeah, he's a one lucky guy there that his wheel didn't pop off, so he's got a suspension stronger than his designs that he's doing. So, yeah, that was a bit scary, but yeah, you said it, the corner is quite tricky. If you touch a curve on the inside, you're pretty much gone to the other direction. And if you just lose it on sheer traction downforce, you go to the inside and there's a huge wall there. So, as we've seen, a bit tricky, a bit easier in the race, but if you push with a bit hot tires, that's what can happen. So we have to keep an eye if everyone else is struggling with that as well. Yeah,
speaking of keeping an eye on someone, Kumbla is coming out the final corner on the run to the line. It's looked quite slow this lap actually, and he goes 7th, 26.2. I say slow, he's only 7/10 off pole at the minute, but that to me, he can improve, I think, considerably on that lap. 26.2 on that sort of soft compound size. Interesting now, the likes of Pease, Jerome, Packer, Jensen, all on that sort of soft compound tyres are now on that set of mediums and now on that set of soft compound tyres, so we're going to be seeing what's going to happen. Connor, however, once again, he's not using up any ERS coming through the final corner. He is on a lap, he's actually coming into the pit lane, so Connor dukes me coming into the pit, Speed's coming into the pit lane. Justas is on a lap, I believe. He's one of the first actually out there on a lap, so we'll see what Justas can do.
Yeah, his teammate Rudy, as we spoke about him as well, he's looking absolutely hooked up. hitting all the apexes. Obviously, I think he's a pad driver. He's enjoying himself, and that's going to be a decent banker lap for him. Yeah, that's really important for Ferrari in the points.
Dead on 4 tenths behind Nathan as well. Very good lap there by Rudy. He drove very well around here in PSGL, I think it was last season, season 29, where I think Bahrain was actually on the calendar. There, he performed very, very well indeed. Justus now coming to the left-hander of turn number 11. Through the right-hander of turn number 12, we'll see what the championship leader can do. Through the middle sector, 104.4 is there or thereabouts. I think he's going to go around Dylan Izza sort of area possibly with this lap. Good evening, by the way, to Packer. Rudy saying he's not on pad. He's doing wheel and no assist. So that is quite interesting feedback coming through there. Justus coming to the right-hander. Yulbream is the best at the minute. He's not the best. He's second at the minute. Justus now running towards the line. And he does go in between exactly where I predict them to go. Dylan there third. Justus down fourth. Izza there in fifth. Yulbream, however, was looking quickest in the first sector. He's invalidated. Nathan, however, is looking quicker. He's 9 thousandths up. We saw an improvement there. I think that was Reuter going 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Verstappen just batters that and goes 4th as well. So it's very close now in terms of qualifying. Jensen as well popped himself up to 9th. Nathan, though, improves. 25.3. I do not know how he's found 2 extra tenths in that final sector, because that didn't look quick at all. Nathan out on top, 25.3 on that set of soft compounder tyres. And he seems like the one to beat, because he's 2.5 tenths clear of Yulbream.
Yeah, I wonder how he's going to bottle it this time. But he's looking really quick as Verstappen gets quite an unlucky invalidation there on a flat-out corner. And yeah, sorry to Rudy, that was a bit rude from me to assume he's on pad. But yeah, terrible, I know. But yeah, interesting that Nathan has got so much pace, 2.5 tenths ahead of everyone else. So he's definitely on pace, as Dylan is also on a flyer, I think.
Yeah, Neil actually more immediately is on a flyer. He is looking around Dylan's sort of area, so he could go third with this lap. Of course, the all-timer here in TTML, in LOE Division 1. He's coming out of the final corner on the run to the line. As Pease goes third, I think Neil, though, will go ahead of him. Oh, he just shy, actually, by 400ths of a second. He goes fifth behind Reuter, but it is Nathan out on top. Yulbream there in second, Pease in third. Pease, I've got to say, very consistent in terms of performances, of course, this season. Had his best result last season, of course, in last race, I should say, in Jeddah. As we have had a retirement, actually, Bahrain has crashed it through turn 11. There was a Red Bull just coming through there. That was Nathan, and he's off onto the left-hand side. So clearly gone spearing into the wall. I think he's probably just caught too much outside curb there and spun the car around.
Yeah, in classic Haas fashion, he did that. Yeah, unlucky for him, but that's going to be alternate strategy, as we see Connor going out on mediums. Would you have a look at that? As expected, but he's just looking at the gaps. There's no way he makes it into the top 10, so I wonder what his mission is, to be honest.
I wonder if he's going to start. I wonder if he's aiming for 11th position, because he knows, probably. And I certainly know as well, that the overcut strategy around here is more potent than the undercut strategy. Soft compounder tyres normally last to around lap 8, lap 9, then drivers pit in. Seen drivers obviously go to around lap 12 as well, but medium compounder tyres, I've seen drivers last 22 laps on a set of mediums. It should be a simple one-stop strategy. And Connor, I'm not surprised, to be honest, he's on that set of mediums. But this time, more importantly, he's actually using up a bit of EOS. So this is going to be more of a prone lap and more of a representative lap from Connor. Very wide coming through turn number 10 there. Still Nathan though out on top. Yulbream there in second. Connor there in third. And now Connor running down in towards turn number 11. Through the left-hander of turn 11. And in towards the right-hander of turn number 12. And this is looking quite quick from Connor. Even on a set of mediums. Coming through the middle sector. 105.2. He's 9 tenths up. Obviously not representative in terms of the times we should be seeing here out on track, but Connor is on a good lap. We've also got, I believe, Rocco coming through the final couple of corners. I'm not sure if he's actually just came off a lap, but Connor through the final couple of corners on the run to the line, through out of the kink of 15, and he runs towards the line, and it's going to be slow out of everyone. It's a 26.6 on a set of mediums. I normally say between a second and 1.2 seconds in terms of improvement, so we should be seeing Connor theoretically being around, what, P's, Yulbream sort of area?
Yeah, if he does a soft lap, he could be up there, but I think, as you said, he may want to go for P11. It's a really strong strategy, and the safety cars can happen, so if you're then still out and with some medium tyres, you have a good shot. But yeah, that medium runs a bit racy. Maybe he's just getting his eye in for the final run, but he could have try to get the P11 right now, so he has a bit better of a reference, but it's Connor, you never know what he's doing.
Exactly. He's down at the back of the field, though, down in 19th position. He's obviously going to be starting ahead of Bahrain. Kumbla, though, has just come onto a lap, coming to the right-hander of 6 and now to the left-hander of turn 7. We'll see what the Dutchman can do. Currently at 26.2. We should be seeing him in the 25s, I think. We should be seeing a majority of guys, in fact, on the 25 towards the end of the session. Izza has also just started up on a lap coming down in towards turn number 1. We'll come on board with him as soon as Kumbla finishes his lap. Nathan, though, out on top. Yildirim there in second, Peas in third. If you are tuning in, by the way, to the first time of League of Europe Division 1, welcome along. My name is James Head, of course, Montana. Joining me alongside on the commentary box, a very sore-throated Montana tonight. I've got to be honest and saying. I will mention that as we go through the stream. Kumbla, though, improving in the middle sector. He's a 10.5 up through the middle sector, runs wide coming out of turn 13, and normally when you run so far out wide, it normally picks up an invalidation even if you haven't got all 4 wheels off the track. Track limits, obviously, stewards are looking at turn 13 in particular. I think that's the only corner they're looking at. Otherwise, the rest is covered by the game. Kumbla now running toward the line, improves again in that final sector by a 10th, goes 16th, 25.9 on a set of soft compounded tyres. But currently, Nathan out on top by 2.5 tenths, and then the same gap is between Yildirim and Izza. That just comes to show how dominant Nathan is in qualifying.
Yeah, that's a massive gap on this track, and he probably has some more time to find in the first and second sector, especially, as we saw he wasn't improving much before he finished his lap. So he's on pace, and I think Izza is finishing a lap. And he's finishing qualifying. Yeah, that's it, I think, for him.
No, I think he'll have another run. It's 2.5 minutes just over left, so I think he'll be fine in terms of getting another lap in. He'll obviously come into the pit lane. He should be coming out, I think, with 1:45 remaining, if I'm not mistaken. So he should be fine to get on for another lap. I'm not sure if anybody else is on a lap at this point. I think the first man that will be on a lap, though, is Yildirim. He's in second at the minute, 25.5 on a set of soft compounded tyres. Let's see what the German can do on the run down and towards turn number 1. Of course, Yildirim is one of those drivers that is on a pad. He's actually the second top pad driver in the standings, behind, of course, Verstappen, who's in 4th position, and Verstappen, of course, in 4th. Yildirim there in 6th. Only, 7 points covering them, so Yildirim needs to get a good lap in. Coming through the first sector, he's a 10.5 up, 27.5 is there or thereabouts in terms of Nathan's first sector. I think it's even quicker, in fact, than Nathan's first sector, as now Yildirim comes through turn by 8. He's looking like he's got this lap completely and utterly looped up so far. It is the trickiest point on the circuit, though, coming up down towards turn 10. Got to get that car negotiated well. He's looking quicker than Nathan at this stage. I think he's up by about a 10th. Theoretically, on Nathan's time. We'll see what the middle sector split is going to be like, as now the German comes to the left-hander. More drivers, by the way, on a lap. Neo, Verstappen, all on a lap, along with Jensen, who's coming through turn number 3 there. But Yildirim now coming to the middle sector. 104.1 in the middle sector. He is flying here, Yildirim. Is he going to try and trouble, though? Nathan, he needs to find another 600th of a second to be on provisional pole. Nathan, though, was on a lap coming to the first sector. I'm not sure if he's invalidated on that, but let's see what Yildirim is doing. Coming to the final corner on the run toward the line. I think he could go top here. Yildirim to the line. He does go top by only 200ths of a second, though. Nathan, as you mentioned, I think, is invalidated. We come on board with him there. He is invalidated, but luckily he can get another lap in. Jensen, I think, more immediately is on a lap as well. He's actually backed off coming through the middle sector and cutting the curb coming through turn number 11. Don't think there's anybody else really on a lap. There's obviously Neo and everyone on a lap, and Neo's coming through the middle sector. And 104.3 in the middle sector, so he's there or thereabouts.
Yeah, Neo, the old man, and now he's getting a beauty of a slipstream there. Quite unconventional spot, but with no DRS it should be quite effective. Is he missing the braking point? No, he's not. That's actually quite a nice corner, so that could propel him up to P3 if he finishes the lap nicely, or even more. No, it's P3, yeah. Great effort.
Yeah, really good effort. Yildirim has backed off his lap as well. Obviously went top with that lap. Nathan's back into the pit, and that is his session done. So Nathan back in, knocking improvement. Neo back in as well. Oh, Neo obviously just finishing his lap. Pease is on a lap. Wouter is on a lap. He's 800 up, coming to the middle sector. Now coming to the final couple of corners at 13, 14 and 15. And now on the run to the line with the Dutchman. Can he come across the line to go towards the top end? He does improve. He doesn't actually improve his position. He's 1,000th off Pease. Pease is up by 500ths, though, in the first sector. Dylan more immediately. Purple in the middle sector, but it's a 104.3. He's well off in terms of Yildirim and Nathan's time in that middle sector. We should be seeing more improvements as we go throughout the field. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody goes pole position in this lap, but Dylan more immediately coming around the final corner. The Dutchman on the run to the line. Fleddy retires into the pit then. Yildirim is done. Dylan to the line. He goes fourth. Found a lot of time in that final sector. It's a good lap there by Dylan. Verstappen is invalidated. Pease is 300s up coming out the middle sector. So he's obviously lost time in that middle sector. And I think he's actually ran out of fuel. He has run out of fuel. So Pease has run out of fuel and he's not improving on this lap. Unless he is, and this is just going slow. No, he has actually backed off his lap through the middle sector. Justas is a 10th and a half up. 104.3 in the middle sector. What can our race winner, what can the championship leader do? He's obviously on a wheel. He's going to be under pressure. Killer Blue goes 5th. Good lap time from him. Justas, though, I think is going to go in and around that, and he does go 5th with a good lap time. Is anybody else on the lap? Izzer, I think, is the only man that could be out there on a lap. Jensen as well is back into the pits, and Izzer into the wall. Izzer into the wall. He was improving on that lap as well. And he spins into the wall out of the final corner. That is the end of qualifying, and a dramatic end as well with Izzer's lap. He'll be frustrated by that because he was going to improve maybe towards Bruter and Pease. Yildirim the lad on top, Nathan in second, Neo in third. That is the end of qualifying. Izzer looked quick there before he lost it on the outside curb. He took too much curb on the outside, spun the car around, easy to do, and he's now down in P10 and right on the bubble.
Yeah, that's probably the worst position on the grid. Speaking of being in a bad position, Connor was on for a probably P6-ish. Then he left it out the final corner trying to get P11. And because of the close gaps, so hard to judge P17, so that's a bit of a pain for him. And also Jensen, the Alpha Tauri, is having a shocker in quali. And also Campbell outside the top 10 on the alternate strategy. So, yeah, a really interesting and unorthodox qualifying, I would say.
Given that Nathan was 2.5 tenths up, everyone improved. He invalidated. He didn't actually improve his lap. What could have he done if he did improve his lap, though? Remains to be seen. It is a German and Brit 1-2, and it's also a German first and third. So you'll be mad on top. Nathan there in second. Neil there in third. Dylan in fourth, with Justas there in fifth. Killer Blue in sixth. Verstappen in seventh. Pease in eighth. Wooch is only 1,000th off him in ninth. And then you've got a big start gap to Izzer, who's down in 10th. Rocco in 11th. Campbell in 12th. Rudy in 13th. He's only 1,000th of a second off Campbell as well. And Campbell's actually starting outside of the top 10. Disappointing qualifying session from his perspective. Jeroen in 14th. Jensen there in 15th. Kumbly in 16th. Connor in 17th. Fleddy in 18th. Packer there down in 19th. Didn't really get a representative lap time in. And Bahrain down in P20. Didn't even get a lap time in because he crashed, obviously, coming through the middle sector. But it's Yildirim right on top. Nathan in second. Sets his sights nicely on for the race. And Marcio Rubio, I will pronounce his name right, Marcio Ribeiro, I should say, in the comment section saying, as I said, Yildirim is the best. I will give you that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever seen a Yildirim qualifying pole position in the LOE?
I think we have, if I'm not mistaken. He certainly won. I remember Bahrain 2 seasons ago, I'm tempted to say he won. Or was second?
Bahrain specialist, definitely. He's strong here, and that was a really clean lap, although he even missed his second lap. And Nathan cracking already under the pressure a bit, maybe. But them two look probably the quickest out of everyone.
Yeah, I think Nathan, though, he's much stronger in the race. He normally has good races around here in Bahrain. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a real role reversal actually in the race. And obviously, it remains to be seen what tyres everyone is going to be going on. And we'll see what tyres everyone's going on. I would imagine it'll be a yellow wall right down from 11th to 20th. I'm completely and utterly right, which I'm good to see. And I preempted that slightly. Yildirim though out on top. Nathan in second. Neil there in third. Of course, top 10 qualifying on that set of soft compound tyre. Everyone else on that set of mediums, as we alluded to in qualifying Montana, should be a simple one-stop strategy. Soft compound tyres will be pitting in round lap 8, lap 9 you would expect, and then guys in a set of mediums possibly can get to around lap 19, lap 20 before they come into the pit lane. So, with that being said, what's the strategy to be on? Is it mediums to softs or is it soft to mediums?
Yeah, that's a good question. You pretty much nailed it with the laps there, and I think if you're P11 to P14 get through the first lap cleanly, you're in a really good position if the DRS train holds on, which is quite likely because literally half the track is a DRS zone. So yeah, if they can stay with them, they have a really good shot. But don't ever count out the safety cars and the driving behind the safety car on this track. So that might spice things up, and I'm sure we'll see a couple of hard tires put on tonight as well. Just mentioning a great shot from Julebrim getting pole position with a broken collarbone as well. So he has to sit there quite awkwardly, he just told me.
That's so unfortunate that he has broken his collarbone, but it just comes to show that he's actually back, he's racing, and it comes to show that you can't be defeated in terms of having an injury and obviously driving. And being on pole position, I think, has made it even more impressive. I know Pat has got a significant advantage around this track, but even with a broken collarbone, he should be nowhere near pole position. He is. This man is turning into a robot, quite literally, I think, here tonight. I'm sorry, Yulbrim, if you're listening to it back, but Yulbrim out on top, Nathan in second, Neo in third. Obviously, with that injury, it is going to plague him slightly. I believe, though, he's going to try and get round all 29 laps, which I really hope he does. Hope he puts on a good show nonetheless. And I'm going to come across to you, Montana. Who was your top three?
You know what? I'm going to go... Oh, okay, let's do it. Neo, Julbrim, Dylan.
Interesting. Not Connor from 17th.
No, I think he'll have some incident once again and get a couple of license points. What about you, James?
I think Connor will win. I really think Connor will show the pace in this race. He's on that medium compound tyres. I think he'll win. Nathan second, and I'm going to go Izza for third. I think he's got a good chance if obviously incidents happen in front of him and he'll pick up the pieces. But now we're going to get the 5 red lights straight on here in Bahrain. It's round 8 of the championship here in Division 1, and it is lights down, away we go, and Yulbrim gets a very good start. Nathan slightly quicker off the start, and watch out for Dylan off the start as well, because he's going to get the run on Neil down and towards turn number 1. Nathan side by side with Yulbrim down and towards someone, absolutely lunges it on the brakes. Can the Red Bull get alongside him? No, Yulbrim is just about alongside, but Nathan with the traction around the outside, slightly off track, and he gets the move done, but Yulbrim is going to fight this all the way through. I think everyone is clean through and behind, which is good to see. Dylan down the inside line of Justas, he tries to go all the way around the outside, and speaking of going all the way around the outside, Yulbrim going around the outside of Nathan, to the outside line through 6 and 7, Nathan holds the lead, Yulbrim in second, Neo in third, Justas is right on the back of Dylan like a hot rash early on in this race, Pease is on the back of him as well, they come there down towards turn 8, and Justas dives it down the inside line, caused a bit of a Constantino effect in behind. Killerbloom Verstappen got quite close in the fallout of that, but Nathan leads the way. Yulbrim in second, Neo in third, Verstappen and Killerbloom still going side by side. A little bit of front wing contact there. There's an Aston Martin nearly spinning off in the background. Connor, by the way, is already up to 13. Yeah. Good start from him. He has made 4 positions off the start. Verstappen trying to go all the way around the outside of Killerbloom. This is through turn number 11, and now through turn 12. Pease on the outside of Dylan through turn 12. This will be phenomenal. What a move that is by Pease. That is sensational by the relentless man. He's absolutely excelled, Dylan, in terms of that. Has Dylan possibly got damage, I wonder? That's what I'm thinking. He's going slow down the straight. He might have side pod damage if he comes into the pit lane. This will be the big indicator. Coming out the final corner, Dylan is coming into the pits. He has got damage, and he comes across right on Router as well. End of lap 1. Nathan leads the way. Yildirim in second, Neo in third. Given that Dylan had damage, it takes the sting off really that battle. Verstappen dives it down the inside line of Killerbloom. But what a move that was by Pease, and he's absolutely sent it. He's now 1.2 seconds clear of Verstappen and chasing the front 4.
Yeah, that was important, that move, and he absolutely made it count. Now he just can't get into the DRS range again. Verstappen has to be careful that he doesn't get dropped. Him and Killerbloom fighting doesn't help it. And Fleddy and Marine in the background also having some beautiful side-by-side action. And Connor, as you said, absolutely amazing. He was already up to P13 after turn 2, so he's having a good start for once. And I think we see Nathan pulling out over a second. Truman just made a mistake as well. Yeah.
Yildirim just made a mistake coming out of turn number 10. As I said, in qualifying, if you get that corner wrong, it really sets you off behind, really, and the driver behind will attack you. Neo, in this case, will attack Yildirim, and Yildirim's lost 1.6 seconds now. He's lost 7/10 that lap because of that mistake, and now Nathan is pulling away out in front. He realises he's out of the DRS. He may as well just cut off the ERS at this point because he's well ahead. Yildirim is going to be under pressure. The position gains, by the way, as we mentioned, Connor has gained 5 positions off the start. Dylan has lost the most in terms of 16 positions off the start as well, not having a great start at all. And now we could perhaps get side by side down in towards turn number 1. Of course, DRS is going to be enabled on the run up towards turn number 4. Don't think we're going to get it this time around, certainly further up the field, further down the field. I think everyone is just going to follow through in towards turn number 1, line astern. Nathan leads the way, 1.5 seconds over Yildirim, but Yildirim has got more ERS. He's using it up now on the run up towards turn number 4. It's going to gain him a little bit of time back on Nathan, and I wouldn't be surprised actually if Yildirim comes back within a second of Nathan before the end of this lap, because Nathan, in the FRL race I covered around here last season, he went too hard too early, and I think he will recognise that. He doesn't want to go too hard too early again, otherwise his tyres, he's going to be shot, and he's going to be getting, what, 21, 22 laps on a set of mediums?
Yeah, you don't want to stretch the tyres too much on this track. There's always a risk of a puncture involved, and Truebeam using his ERS now, he needs to get inside the DRS, because Neo is getting closer and closer, and when they start battling, Nathan will say thank you very much, and absolutely disappear.
Definitely so, as I was just taking a drink there. Nathan leading the way, Yildirim there in second, Neo there in third. They're coming through the right-hander now of turn 13. But further down the field, Pease, I'm really impressed with his pace. He's used up 60% of his ERS, he's got 40% remaining coming out of turn 13 there. But Pease is already on the back of Justas. He's got serious pace here tonight. Can he pull off the impossibility of actually winning this race? He's got the championship leader in front of him. He's got his relentless teammate, I should say, in front of him as well. But obviously, Verstappen can't get bridge into that gap down in towards turn number 1. He's going to be more under pressure from Killer Blue, and we saw lap 1 this battle, and Killer Blue's not going to go for the move on Verstappen down in towards turn number 1. Maybe the run out towards turn 4 might be the move on for the Brit, on the Dutchman. And I think with that run that Verstappen got, Killer Blue's going to have absolutely no chance of even catching back up. You've got to be within really 2-3 tenths per second coming out of turn number 3 to try and get the move done up the hill in towards turn number 4. Neil, though, applying a bit of pressure to Yildirim. Through that middle sector, though, he gets caught in that dirty air. You just saw him lose a little bit of time. Neil there in third position. Wouter right on the back of Issa as well. Everyone's then running in line astern. It's going to be a case where I think the race is going to be better in the second half than it is in the first half. But Neil just beginning to apply a bit of pressure to Yildirim. But I think they've all got to be watching out behind, because Pease is seriously quick.
Yeah, he's pushing the train now quite closely together. Truebeam can't really make the inroads, and now he's on the same ERS as Nathan, so Nathan has the pace right now, but we'll see how that develops, and if Neo can get past and use his ERS and not play the team game, he could close up, which he's probably going to do, because he's so close right now. He either needs to make the move in turn 1 or then turn 3, which can both be a bit tricky, but he seems to be quite close, and he's probably going to use the DRS to full effect here.
I think we might get a 3-wide battle perhaps as well, because Justas is very quick at the final corner. The Lithuanian's chasing down Neo. Neo's going to go for the move, and they're going to absolutely waltz past Yildirim down the straight, and Justas might go for the move in towards turn number 1 on Neo. He doesn't. Speaking of moves, though, Izza down the inside line of Killer Blue, just has a slight bit of contact with the rear wing there of Verstappen, and now coming through turn number 2, we should have the traction, and he does get the move done. Nice move that by the Indonesian man. He's into 7th. Killer Blue, though, fighting all the way up the hill, and Verstappen blocks off Izza there, and Killer Blue's going around the outside of him. Killer Blue goes around the outside of Verstappen, coming through turn number 7, but he don't think he's going to pull off the move. He backs out, and that is probably wise, because you don't want to be going side by side through there. And Killer Blue, obviously wary of the fact that Verstappen was in front of him. Both of them, though, get past Izza, and they're through, and he's down into 6th and 7th respectively. Izza now down to 8th, and Izza got outdone by Killer Blue. He got 1, he didn't get 2 though.
Killer Blue absolutely sending it around the outside. That was a worthy of a move, but just slotting him behind, and now you can see the gap over 2 seconds, almost 2.5 seconds from Verstappen to the cars ahead. So the medium runners will get impatient in a couple of laps time, because they don't want this gap to open up and close up to the leading group. Speaking of, Neo absolutely pulled inside that DRS window of Nathan with a double DRS, so remember my guess, Neo is looking sharp tonight.
Yeah, Neo is looking quite sharp tonight. He does like Bahrain, and the German on the pace here. Nathan, though, is probably too much ahead down and towards turn 1, obviously, to try and get the move done, Neo. He will close up to around 4 tenths per second down and towards turn number 1. That's exactly what he does in towards turn number 1. Killer Blue again on Verstappen. Down the inside line goes the Aston Martin on the Dutchman. Of course, these two former commentators, of course, in F2. Verstappen to the inside line, forces Killer Blue off track. Killer Blue's not going to be wary of that, and now this time Izza is going to possibly pop the Red Sea, and he's into the back of Verstappen, coming through turn number 4. and he's just backed off that. Luckily, the camera angle just cut away at the worst possible point. It looked to me as if Izza might have made a little bit of contact with Verstappen. I'm not sure if that was the case, but Izza there in 7th. Gets the moved on Killer Blue. Killer Blue now the one behind. And the Indonesian man looking quite quick as Rocco just nearly gets tapped by Yerona in the background. 10th and 11th position. And do you know what? This is a big old train. Verstappen has gone too hard too early. And there's his fun! Gone off the track coming through turn number 10. He spun the car around. He recovers the car and down in 19th position. Absolute disaster for the Indonesian man. Was looking quick up until that point. And got too far wide coming out of turn number 10. He got caught in the outside curb. And basically, the sort of AstroTurf gravelly bit on the right hand side, the funny looking coloured sand that they use around here, is a spun on that and purely just rotated the car around. And that's why he's down in 19th.
Yeah, that's what can so easily happen in this midfield. And now look at Connor. He's saved up 90% of ERS, and now he's pushing that button like there's no tomorrow. And people ahead of him literally no ERS, and he needs to make the move now.
Has he got the pace though, down and towards turn number 1? I think he might do on the brakes.
Oh, I can't launch. Oh my god. Oh.
He did have the pace, but he didn't go for the move.
Yeah, that was scary. But now Jerome is probably going to derate. And Connor's still pressing that button. Is he gonna? He's probably gonna send it around the outside, isn't he?
He is. He's gonna think about going around the outside. Doesn't. Just again, he got forced out of the dirty air. The dirty air is so potent around here. You get thrown out, you're pretty much not gonna recover the time that you made up, and that's why Connor now down in 11th position. He's doing a good job, but I think again, patience is an absolute virtue, and Connor has to almost take himself back from the brink, basically, in terms of the action, and obviously not go for the moves that might be a little bit reckless. Obviously, he's got already a race ban. He obviously had a race ban, of course, earlier on this season. Connor, in 11th position, biding his time, but I'm liking his approach. He's got 70% of ERS. As you said, Jerome was derating down the straight. He's only got 22% coming through turn number 12. Rocco ahead has got 45, so Connor is basically triple the amount of Yerone, nearly double the amount of Rocco, and he's looking quite good. Killer Blue on the move in towards turn 14. This is going to be a dive down the inside by the Brit, and he is trying to find this move.
So
Nathan, by the way, is in from the pit lane to the lead of the race. Nathan is in early. Yildirim also in, and Killer Blue nearly went into the back of Verstappen there.
Yeah, that's really early. And now Connor, is he going to make the move?
No.
Bit more cautious this time. Can he keep it? Oh, Jerome is having none of it and absolutely shoves him off there. And yeah, Connor resigning the position, and now Rocco is just breezing past Wooter. And you know what? Those mediums guys that just switch on the mediums, they're gonna struggle at the end.
Yeah, they will struggle at the end of the race, and obviously they're going to get, what, 21, 22 laps? So exactly how I said the strategies might plan out is pretty much that case. Nathan has came out, obviously in clear race, 10.5 seconds ahead of behind Kumbla, I should say. He's not 10.5 seconds ahead of Yildirim. He's only 2 seconds ahead of Yildirim. He's also came into the pit lane. This undercut is going to be quite potent on that set of mediums. The mediums are coming into play. They've clearly got fresher tyres than Neo, Justas and Peas, who we imagine is going to be into the pit lane this lap. So, really, Nathan and Yildirim have got to treat this like qualifying laps. Otherwise, they're not going to get the time that they obviously might gain necessarily.
Yeah, they don't want any incidents now with a virtual safety car or anything. Which is quite a risk when you pit that early. You seeing Justas, ERS and Neo, I think they might not even pit.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Oh, one of them
yeah,
is.
Justas. Yeah, there we go. He's got ERS, he's got the DRS on this straight, and he's not too far off his PB, so wise decision maybe, because he's probably gonna lose his positions anyways, so he can just go on, as we see Wooter being the last soft runner, apart from Justas, to pit as well.
Yeah, the thing that we haven't talked about as well, I've seen drivers 21, 22 laps get 70% tyre wear, their tyres are punctured. I remember Amazing Hour and TTML as Bahrain is on the back of Packer up towards turn number 4. The Aston Martin and the Dutchman are going to go side by side, and the Haas try to go all the way around the outside, but Packer leaves him no short of room there at all. Good defensive move that, because Bahrain was on the outside. He left absolutely no inches there for Bahrain. And that's a perfect defensive move in my eyes, because Packer, off camera of the corner, just realised where Bahrain was, forced it in front of him. Nice defensive move, he's there in 8th.
Yep. And in the medium train, we see Rocco actually on top still, and Jerome just dropped outside the DRS window. With no ERS, Rocco himself no ERS. Just keep an eye on Rocco. I've seen him getting gearbox damage on this track on several games, so you never know with him. Oh, as Connor nearly loses it in a tricky left-hander there of turn 10-ish, 11,
Yep.
12? Yeah. So yeah, medium runners are struggling and using all their ERS. And is Eustace gonna pit? Yes, he is. Used up all his ERS on in-lap. That would actually have been a decent lap, so he's probably not going to be too far behind, but I think he's going to be behind Peace even, maybe into the clutches of Verstappen.
Yeah, I think he's going to be out maybe 1.5 seconds behind Pease is going to be my estimate or customate guess. He's coming out the pit stop now. Obviously, the Ferrari is going to be on the inside line for turn number 1. And do you know what? He's not going to be too far off Pease here. I think he's going to rejoin, perhaps maybe in between both Nathan and Yildirim. He's coming out the pit lane now. There is Yildirim. There is Justas. And Justas is going to be behind Neo, in fact, in all of this. So he comes out in 14th position ahead of Pease. And that's absolutely ideal, I think, for Justas. Obviously, he didn't want to be behind the train. Pease, though, is going to maybe think second of that because he's now to the inside line towards turn number 4. Obviously, not going to go for the move. He realises that Valentis' teammate is ahead of him as Bahrain is out of the session coming through turn 7. I think that's off track, though, so might not be a safety car. I have seen safety cars deployed there before. It's off track, though. There he is, off to the left-hand side. It is off track, so I don't think there's going to be anything for that unless he leaves the session. And, in fact, the car is already cleared up. The stewards and the marshals have worked magically quickly, very quickly there to try and clear up that car, almost as if it was induced by the game rather than the actual marshals out on track.
Yeah, marshals being quicker than the F1 2021 AI, so yeah, decent job from them, but yeah, Bahrain, that's quite a shame. Doing has spin once again, but yeah, it's a tricky situation. I crashed there myself a couple of times, just run wide on the curb, and the car just does whatever it wants to. So yeah, bit of a shame, but no safety car, so some people would have been quite anxious about one getting deployed, but it seems like Nathan timed the pits up to perfection. He's got the gap and he's only got one lap worse tyres than some guys.
Yeah, and Nathan's normally quite good on his tyres as well. If he's not looking up in towards corners, I think Nathan will be fine to try and get the tyres towards the end of the race. Neo on the back of Yildirim in towards turn number 1, not getting quite close enough. I wonder if Killer Blue is on Verstappen. He's not either. So, we literally run, I think everyone in line of stone formation once again. It's Rocco leading the way, Jeroen in second, Connor in third, Jensen in fourth. Almost looks to me, though, further up the field, as Woots is now possibly going to go for the move on Killer Blue in towards turn number 4. He doesn't get the move done. What I was going to say there is Campbell's looking quite quick behind Jensen. He looks quicker out of the front 5 at this point in time. He's obviously on that disadvantage as opposed to an advantage in terms of a wheel. But he's coping quite well. He's looked like he's got enough ERS to try and get towards the end of the pit stop range, which would be around lap 19, lap 20. Campbell's got a chance, possibly, of obviously carving his way through the field. Softs are going to be better than mediums towards the end. If he can get past Jensen, I think he can probably get past anyone on this train.
Yeah, the question is if he wants that. He needs to maybe make 1 or 2 moves, but he doesn't need to waste his ERS. He needs to save it for the pit stops. But he seems like he wants to get past Jensen quite desperately, which is fair enough, but then he needs to chill for a couple of laps, as I think Connor is quite interested in snacking some positions, and Rocco is probably going to be a sitting duck here.
Yeah, Jeroen closing in very quickly indeed. It's going to be 3 wide, and Connor lunges on both of them. Connor down the inside line and towards turn 1. How on earth they haven't made contact there is unbelievable. Rocco on the outside line, though, gives Connor the cold shoulder, and now Connor's going to fight back at Rocco. Up the hill and towards turn number 4. He's going to get the move done. He gets 2 for 1. Connor is through, and he's into the lead of the race. That was magical by Connor. He's through on Rocco. He had to wait a little bit, but he gets the job done. Jeroen in the end made to look like an absolute mug there in third. He got sandwiched between both him and Rocco. That's why he's down in third. But Connor takes the lead of the race. That might quite simply be move of the season so far.
Yeah, we know he's can be aggressive at times, but that was absolutely timed to perfection. There was some contact, but it was just Rocco turning in there as well. As Neo has had an incident with Justas in turn 1, it seems like. Justas weaving on a straight to apologise, maybe. And then he had to defend quite heavily from Peace as well. So, yeah. Not ideal for the group behind Yildirim, and there's some tension building up. But now Connor can actually show his true pace, leading the train with the most amount of ERS. as Packer picks up the first penalty of the night.
Yeah, Jav said about 6 minutes ago now that it could be the first where no one gets a pen. Unfortunately, Packer has just picked up a 3-second penalty, which is unfortunate for obviously Packer, and unfortunate for Jav because his prediction is now completely and utterly outdated. Connor leading the way, Rocco there in second, Jeroen in third, Jensen again looking quite quick on the back of Jeroen in towards turn number 1. Don't think he's going to try and get the move done. Jav there in the comment section saying cheese for Runa Ethan. And speaking of Ethan, he's right on the back of Rudy, down in towards turn number 1. Packer on the back of Rudy. Not going to get the move done. I think Justas though is on Nürburgring. Waltz has passed him down towards turn number 1. And the championship leader is Thuni's into second. Currently Campbell is still yet to come into the pit lane. Nürburgring there in 12th position. He's now on the back of him. Is he going to try and get the run up the hill and towards turn number 4? I don't think so. Packer, I think, has had a spin. He's into the wall. Packer into the wall, and that is off. On the right hand side again. I don't think that is going to be a safety car. His front wing is actually glitching underneath the map where he's actually located out on track, which is ridiculous. Back they're out of the race. It's the second retirement. He crashed coming out of turn number 5, and that I think is obviously green flag racing still, but it seemed like a very similar incident to, I think it was Gasly, who obviously lost his front wing. It's completely the other side of the track, but Gasly obviously lost his front wing. I think in that incident, Packer has probably just took too much of the curb. He spun the car around, and he's trying to recover it, and then it's rotated back to the right-hand side, and he's ended up where he was.
Yeah, that's an interesting place to crash. Yeah, Chaff is actually celebrating that because now he's got the clean sheet again with no penalties off car drivers, which is fair enough.
Can we allow him to have that, though? Can we allow him? I don't think we can we?
Well, with Chaff, you can't allow him to have anything to say, generally, but we move.
We move indeed, yeah, we still move on. It is nearly the halfway stage, by the way, in this race. You've been trying to chase down Justas down in towards turn number 1, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. I was looking at Pease on the back of Neo as well. Thought he was going to be quite close enough. He's not. Killer Blue on the back of Verstappen. Again, not quite close enough. And I think, as I say, second half is probably going to be better than the first half, even though we've had a really good first half of the race. Connor leading the way. Connor used up. Obviously, he pulled away by around 8 tenths per second. The gap is now back out to 5 tenths, and that just comes to show the actual potency of a DRS train around here. If you're in a DRS train, the cars in behind are inevitably going to be gaining, and Connor, because he's not out of the slipstream range, which is around 8-9 tenths per second around here, that's why he's struggling, and he can't obviously gap out Rocco. So what does he do? Does he just sit there and wait for everyone else to come at him, or does he come into the pit lane slightly earlier, come into the pit for a set of softs, and then try and get to the end?
Knowing Connor, he's going to do the most unexpected thing we expect, and probably pit like a couple of laps too late or later. Just looking at lap times, Connor in comparison to Nathan in P9, the real strategy battle, is 6 tenths per lap slower, Connor. So they're gaining a little bit, but the soft tires will be quite a big advantage at the end. So they need to keep the pace up, and Justas is now just dragging Nürburgring along into the DRS window, and that's now a really early pit stop for soft. 14 laps. You're really trying to do that.
Yeah, Rudy's into the pit, set us off compound tyres, no front wing damage on the car, so it is just purely a tactical pit stop. Nürburgring on the back, as actually Killer Blue was waltzing past Verstappen in towards turn number 1, so gets the move done there, down towards turn 1, and Verstappen gives him a little bit of a love tap there on the back side of the Aston Martin. But Rudy out of the pit lane, he's going to be comfortably ahead of Dylan, which is good for him, but it's not good for his race. Obviously, he will gain time. He was ahead of Fleddy before he came into the pit lane, so he is going to be in, what? Net P14, I'm tempted to say, or actually no, I'm just totally faking that because the top 7 are still yet to pit. So Rudy perhaps could be in net P8, net P9 when he comes out the pits.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just put on some red coloured mediums again. That was a bit odd. I barely can do 9 laps on softs myself, so if he can do that and pull it off, fair enough, but I think he's gonna not enjoy the last couple of laps as Connor's weaving to Rocco, wondering what that means.
Pit stop.
Maybe let's work together, don't fight me unnecessarily, because yeah, they're not pitting yet, and Rocco doesn't seem to attack.
Oh, is Rocco going to attack? Possibly down and towards 7-1. He is getting close. He is getting close. And Rocco, doesn't want to go for the move. So I think that's a clear indication of they've got to work together. Not working together though was Kumbli on the back of Fleddy, down towards turn 1, both Williamses, IFR and QVR of course battling out at this moment in time, 6th and 7th position, both of them, and Kumbli's now going to have the run at Fleddy, his fellow compadre, fellow Dutchman, down the inside line. That is late on the brakes from Kumbli, and look what a move that is on the brakes. Kumbli through, he's into 6th. Fleddy gave about as much room as you'll give without going out in the old fields here in Bahrain. Kumbli through, he's into 6th. Fleddy up to 7th, Fleddy down to 7th. And in my opinion, I think Fleddy could have closed that gap a little bit further, because Kumbli was given all the space in the world and Fleddy was almost defending thin air.
Yeah, and then Kumbli almost lost it on the exit, which is quite easy to do in that corner. That's a weird angle. But Fleddy then just backed out, probably thinking let's not lose too much time. In the end, they are teammates and want to score some points. But yeah, interesting in-team battles there.
Yeah, really interesting indeed, and obviously we've got that train for a net 2nd position at this stage as well, which is really beginning to ramp up. Yildirim there in 10th, Neo in 11th, Pete in 12th, Killer Blue there in 13th, Killer Blue trying to latch back on to that group. It's 3.2 seconds, I don't think though, as Connor gets very sideways at the final corner, and again he weaves running down the straight. I think this is now the time for Rocco to actually attack, so ignore the fact that they were working together last lap around. They're not this time. Rocco Thuni's into the lead as Campbell and Kumbli into the pit lane, set us off compound tyres. I still think that's a relatively early pit stop for them. Coming out on track, he's going to be, I think they may be going to be ahead of Rudy coming out the pit lane. It's going to be quite close actually, and I think Rudy's actually going to be slightly ahead coming out the pits. Yeah, Rudy's going to have the overspeed quite clearly. Down in towards turn 1, and Rudy is going to be ahead of Campbell by around a second coming out the pit lane. So Rudy there 14th, Campbell there 15th. But he's within that range, obviously works together with Rudy, obviously dropped Kumbli behind, set us off, so inevitably going to be quicker. But I think that race is probably run.
Yeah, that's so awkward though. So now they're all pushing themselves and each other to pit early and then suffer at the end. So yeah, the undercuts will be obviously massive. So Rocco, Connor, Jerome will all drop behind this pack. But that will be a bit uncomfortable then with only 1 lap pressure tyres, 2 lap pressure tyres. They'll probably just hold each other up and lose the time they need to gain, which they are actually gaining quite a lot of, to the cars ahead. But yeah, not ideal, and I don't think they will have a word with the podium guys tonight.
Yeah, definitely not, unless they are 2 seconds quicker, which there will be at the minute. They will be 2 seconds quicker, possibly, than all the guys, but it's the DRS trains ahead that is really going to catch them out, as Rocco, in fact, is into the pit lane. Jensen is in. Is Fleddy in as well? Yes, Fleddy is also in. But I'm looking at Yildirim now. Is this now the signal, because drivers are pitting in ahead, for Yildirim to possibly think about going for a move down towards turn number 1? He's looking close enough, but he's not going to be close enough down towards turn number 1. Jeroen, however, on the back of Connor has nearly forced him off like Mazepin in F2. Connor drifting across the track. That was hard, aggressive defending there from Connor. I'm not sure if the stewards will have a look into that. That was very, very, very hard by Connor. Jeroen was looking to get the inside line. There was no gap there. Connor completely cut the gap off. He had the full car ahead. I think that one's going to get referred to the stewards, because that, for me, was more than 2 moves.
I didn't see that. It's probably better that I didn't see that. But yeah, obviously both of them want to be the car ahead now, because they're going to pit this lap if they don't do any crazy strategies. So yeah, if they don't get a safety car now, they'll have an interesting last couple of laps. As we see, to be fair, Campbell ahead of the train, 3 seconds gains in pretty much 1 lap to kill Verstappen.
Yeah, Connor should be coming into pit lane this lap around. You'd imagine to try and respond to obviously guys that have already came in. Campbell, by the way, is only 3.5 seconds off the back of Killer Blue. Rudy's in that train. He got past him, must have last lap around. Both of them are still not pitting in though. And Jeroen, I think, with this DRS is possibly going to have a think down and towards turn 1 at a move, but he's not going to be close enough, I don't think. And the Relentless Man on the back of the NSX man. Are we going to get round 2 between these two? Find out round 3 might be coming out in a lap's time. But Jeroen on the back of Connor, I think he's not using up ERS. I probably realised that Connor defended aggressively. Doesn't want to get involved in that. Speaking of getting involved though, Rocco passing Rudy down and towards turn number 1. Gets the job done. He still needs into 12th. But more importantly, he's going to be in 10th position when obviously Connor and Jeroen come out the pit lane. He's going to be in 10th quite comfortably. Jeroen and Connor's race is a run. Should have pitted in probably when the first runners did, the likes of Rudy. He should have came in really around there. Rocco, though, on the back of Campbell. This could be quite an interesting battle between them both.
Yep, and they probably need to work together to get to the back of the train, and then they want to be the car ahead of them, so they don't get held unnecessarily much. So Campbell will try to stay ahead, and maybe just save a little bit of ERS for Rocco. But yeah, the gap from Wood to the piece is already 4.5 seconds, so they not only need to bridge the gap to the group ahead of them, then there's another huge gap, so tricky one. And speaking of the lead group, I think Jewelry has to make a move at some point to get through and then close the gap to Nathan, who's barely have any ERS actually, so he's really struggling with that. And each time you're under 10%, you just derate a little bit on the straights, lose a bit of power, and now Connor and Jerome finally pit. So they'll have the freshest tyres of everyone and probably will be flying for the next 10 laps.
I think Nathan's strategy is obviously get Justas out of the slipstream range. That is Nathan's big goal, I think, in this. He's managed that nicely, but Justas for me has got more ERS. He's got 26%. Nathan, I think, should be approaching sort of a one-on, one-off strategy. Save a bit of ERS, obviously get outside of a second still, maintain that gap outside of a second. If you've got 40% by the end of the lap, you should be quite fine. Nathan coming through the middle sector obviously will now save up the CRS slightly, not by much though, and he's going to be struggling towards the end, I think, not in terms of his tyres, but only in terms of as well his actual running on the tyres and his ERS as well, because Justas has got 32%, Nathan's got 11%, he's nearly triple the amount that Nathan has got in terms of the ERS, so Yildirim and Justas have to try and make moves done, especially Yildirim, because he's nearly got double the amount of Justas' ERS. So all of these guys, I think they're waiting for something to happen. Nathan has hasn't made a mistake so far this race. It's been foot perfect, but when pressure gets to Nathan, he cracks. Will Justas now apply that pressure for him to crack?
Yeah, it's either Justas or Jewelry, because Jewelry 70% DRS out of that corner. He's pushing a bit now. So if he gets past and he just uses that DRS, the DRS gap is closed, and then we have the action we want and deserve.
Yeah, definitely so.
Try again with drinking, right?
Yeah, I was drinking there as well. Yildirim though, is he going to be close enough down into Justas? He is closing again, but I think he's going to fake it in towards turn number 1. Not go for the move there. Verstappen is through on routes though, and he still needs into 6. Verstappen's actually had a really good race. Rocco down the inside of Killer Blue as well in towards turn 1, gets the job done, and Connor more immediately down the inside of turn 1 as well on Kuhn Blythe. He gets the job done even before turn 1, he still needs into 13. Killer Blue now struggling. He is fighting back though with Rocco in towards turn number 4. Doesn't get the move done. He fakes it in towards turn 4. Jeroen on the back of Kuhn Blythe as well. Further down the field, the Haas down the inside of the Williams, I should say, not the Welshman. Jeroen on the back of Kuhn Blythe. He's on the inside for 6. He should force Kuhn Blythe out. Nice move that by Jeroen. And he's Flooney's into 14. And Campbell has gone off nearly. Coming through turn 7, he loses the position to Killer Blue. Killer Blue's on the inside line of him. My voice is going. Campbell around the outside of turn number 10. Is he going to try and hold this in terms of the traction? Rooter's made a mistake just in front. Rocco now through. Rooter lets him back through. And all of a sudden there's getting all gamesmanship going on. Campbell back through and Killer Blue's into 9th. Nice move there. And this race suddenly is picked up.
Yeah, now it's getting spicy. Campbell absolutely sent one on Killer Blue. Killer Blue was having none of it, just kept it on the outside. And now Campbell is catching up to Wooter, who was probably visiting a different country there off the track quickly. But yeah, now the soft runners are mixing with the medium runners. And the further down you go on the grid, the fresher the softs are, and the quicker the people are. So it's a bit of a reverse grid situation right now.
Rocco should get this move done, I would imagine, on Verstappen in towards turn number 1. I think Campbell's got to follow through as well. Jensen also got to follow through. But look at the closing speed of Rooter on the back of Verstappen. And Campbell sends it down the inside. No, and he nearly breaks contact with his teammate in towards turn number 1. That got very, very close for comfort. Campbell on the back of Rooter. He had the move done. Jensen is now going to have the fight down in towards turn number 4. He's on the outside line. He gets pushed off by Campbell. And I think, to be honest, Jensen should have just waited him behind, because I don't think there was any way from getting that move done. Campbell has got the tyres, though. He is in a hurry. He's got to be patient, though, to try and get these moves done. Otherwise, it's going to end in real trouble.
Yeah, as Connor is pushing Rudy on the track, so he has to be careful with his fronting as well. Yeah, so that was a bit awkward miscommunication between them. Jensen was committing to going on the outside. Campbell was having none of it. So all went out well, but Booth is still keeping the position of Campbell. Just allows Rocco at the head of the train to go away. But he needs to catch up 4 seconds, so half a second a lap-ish. Not impossible, but he then needs to overtake as well. As Justus is also gaining just slightly on Nathan this lap.
Yeah, definitely. So Campbell on the back of Reuter, 9th position at the minute. Nathan leading the way 1.6 seconds. The gap is stagnant at the front end of the field. Yulbeam, Neo and Pease, I think everything's going to kick off possibly final 3 laps, I think, if I'm a betting man, which I normally am. Campbell on the back of Reuter, on the run down and towards turn number 1. Verstappen, I don't think has got any DRS. He has actually got DRS on the back of Rocco, but Campbell is surely going to get this on the brakes. Down the inside and towards turn number 1. Yulbeam has spun, coming through turn number 2. He's got caught in the inside curb. And Yulbrim is now round, and that is him now at the battle. That is his podium chance completely and utterly gone and blown out of the water. Yulbrim now is going to be possibly down in 11th because Killer Blue dives it down the inside line. He's going to have very cold tyres. And look at Connor. Connor to the outside line. He's going to pick them both up. Beautiful move by Connor. He's through and he's into 10th. I did say he was on for the win. He's not on for the win at the minute, but he's in 10th. Nice move. Taking candy from a baby.
Yeah, so it's now all kicking off, and look at the gap in front, it's further coming down. Obviously now Jewelbeam gone, which is a big shame. Yeah, I think he just lost it on his own.
Yeah.
But that split the front group a bit apart, so now Justus is trying to push out of the DRS of Neo, who's then pushing outside of the DRS of Peace, who's actually the guy with the most percent of DRS with 20%, which is absolutely ridiculous. But now just look at Rocco, he gained a second, so Rocco is on for a decent result. I don't want to jinx him too much, but it's looking good for him.
Well, he did finish on the podium, remember, last season. And Rocco could perhaps, and Verstappen also ended up on the podium last season. Both of them, I think more Rocco going to end up on the podium. But the DRS, there are a lot more straights around here than actual corners. And that is going to be Rocco's big fly in the ointment. Campbell to the inside on of Verstappen gets the move done. Jensen move done as well. Connor is closing up very quickly to the back of Reuter and towards turn number 1. Wow, on the brakes, very late indeed. And he's on the back of Reuter out of 2, out of 3. Is he going to get the run up 4? Reuter might try and treat this like Connor did to Jeroen earlier on in the race, but Connor dives it down the inside line. This man, as I said, last season I think it was, is an overtaken machine at this stage. Connor through and he's into 9th position, and he's absolutely flying. He's on much fresher tyres than everyone on a set of softs. He's not too far off, you know. If Campbell can latch onto the back of Rocco, he's not too far off possibly getting a top 5 finish.
Yeah, now just the interesting thing if Jensen is gonna hold Connor back or not, so if they're gonna work together. I know they're in a party, so discussions will be going on. Verstappen now will be trying to do everything he can to force them off. To hold them off, I should rather say. We'll see about the forcing part. But yeah, interesting things are happening, and Rocco not having the greatest lap right now, so he's dropping off a bit. But Campbell, decent on the RS and decent on pace, so it's so hard to call right now. And Justus just 3 more tenths than he's in within the DRS window.
And look at Jensen on the back of Verstappen as well. Jeroen more immediately down the inside of 14. That's a lovely move on the brakes by Jeroen. He's into 10th. He's got his old rival and foe ahead of him, and Connor, though, is perhaps going to try and lunge. Oh, he's not even going to be close enough on the back of Jensen. Jensen, by the way, is on the outside of Verstappen. Verstappen leaves him very short of room, shooting on the brakes, and the traction is going to prevail for Jensen around the outside. That is a lovely move with the traction. Jensen through and he's into 7th. Verstappen picks up a 3-second penalty, and now look at Connor. Connor's going to get the run. So maybe at 1, maybe at 2. Verstappen forcing him off, nearly in towards turn number 4. But Connor just gets the move done. Verstappen, however you might try and force Connor off, Connor just responds back and says, you know what, I don't care. He's through and he's into 8th.
Oh, Kuhn and Killer Blue, yeah, also having a battle. Connor's so smart, just saving the DRS, then going for the switchback and using the D rating of Verstappen. So I hope Chaff isn't wishing for Verstappen to DNF, but we've seen weirder things happen. But yeah, Rocco pushing again, Campbell just keeping the gap, and now the Alpha Towers are attacking, and my game crashed once again.
Oh, dearie me. We have got 4.5 laps to go into that point. Hopefully you'll be able to get back in if you can. Nathan leading the way, Justus in 2nd, Neo in 3rd. We will continue on if you can't. But Nathan leading the way, 1.6 seconds. Justus there in 2nd, Neo there in 3rd, Pease there in 4th. And Justus is losing time now. The gap was down to 1.3 seconds at one point. It's now back out to 1.7. Justus just seems to be struggling in terms of pace here tonight. Nathan has got 1 up on the Ferrari at this point. Whether Peas and Neo will have one up on Justas remains to be seen later on in the race. Rocco was 2.2 seconds behind as Dylan is round coming out of turn number 12. That is on the outside apex. Connor down the inside of Jensen in towards turn number 1 gets the move done. Jeroen and Verstappen as well. No hanging about there in terms of that move. He's into 9th. I think we saw Kuhnblau and Killer Blue as well. Up to 12th position he goes as well. Dylan, by the way, spun coming out of turn number 12. I think he got caught on the outside curb, or caught too much of the inside curb on the outside curb, probably spun round. His tyres are absolutely done, and Dylan now into the pit lane. Hopefully continue on, might be stealing the fastest lap of the race from anyone. If not, it's going to be retirement, and actually he picked up a puncture. Dylan picked up a front left puncture coming through turn number 12. That was on 22 lap mediums. And Nathan is going to be on 20 lap mediums. I think Nathan should be fine if he hasn't overworn his tyres.
Yeah, so you obviously went a bit quicker, Nathan, than Dylan did. But yeah, interesting to see the first puncture of the night. Just have to wait until my leaderboard sorts itself out, but I should be fine again. So they'll probably worry about that in the future, but it's not looking too bad right now. Justa still double the ERS, but he could be happy with a P2. He just needs the points. He's still scoring Campbell and Connor, so it's going well for him on a track that probably doesn't suit him too much. But Neo doesn't have the plan to stay in P3, I think. And also Peace seems to be applying pressure, so Peace is having a really good race tonight, not gonna lie.
Here comes Connor on the back of Campbell. My God, I've just gone bowl with him and he absolutely shoots past as if he's just been shot out of a cannon. He's through and he's into 6th. Connor is an overtaking machine again. He's not too far off Rocco for a top 5 finish. He's got significantly fresher tyres. Rocco is gaining on P's. What do you do if you're Rocco? You've got a quick man behind you. You're quick yourself. Do you let the quick man behind you go forward and then try and push for that second gap to try and get onto the back of P's and Neo? Or are you Connor and just go for the move on Rocco and then think about possibly getting a top 3 finish, but still 2.5 laps to go?
Yeah, everyone's certainly on ERS as well, but they're now inside the DRS train, so the battle for P2 is going to be huge. I think Nathan is just getting away with it somehow with that strategy, and now it's going to be quite an interesting phase as, yeah, Campbell is struggling. Campbell is struggling.
I'm looking at Nathan's front left and I'm thinking to myself, that could puncture. There is a big black blister going through the tyre. Same with the front right as well. It's more immediately on the front left because it's more of a right-handed track. The bearing and the load on the tyres is off to the left-hand side. So, Nathan possibly could be in trouble. There is a big blister occurring though, and if he picks up a penalty, as Yilpim has just done and picked up a 3-second penalty, but if Nathan picks up a puncture,
Neo,
that is him pretty much done. Neo on the back of Justas in towards turn 1, flies past down and towards turn 1, uses up his remaining amount of ERS. Jensen through and he's into 7th, and Campbell is dropping down to 9th. I thought he had a puncture, but he doesn't. Just letting them both through. So Jensen and Jeroen clearly quicker there down the straight, and they're through into 7th and 8th position as Jeroen has now picked up a penalty, and this is going to let Campbell back at Jeroen up towards turn number 4. Is the Scotsman going to think about being enticed into the move? Not quite, but Neil now in 2nd, 1.3 seconds the gap. Nathan is having to save his tyres here. Neil was catching quick.
Yeah, either that or Nathan is trying to give him the DRS to save P2. That could be a strategy, you never know with him. I think Master's class, but I think Nathan is also struggling, as well as Campbell. Campbell's tyres are dead.
Campbell's tyres are gone. I think Justas made a mistake there as well. He's lost a bit of time to the back of Neo. Coming out of turn number 8. I think he got very sideways coming out the corner. Nathan will lead in the way. Neo in 2nd. This is building to an unexpected crescendo. I thought Nathan honestly had this. Neo, though, on the back, 9/10 away. Neo was going to have possibly 2 or 3 chances on the final lap of the race to try and get this move done. I wouldn't even cross out Connor off this list either. He's down in 6th on considerably fresher tyres to everyone. It is going to be a wild final lap of the race. Buckle up, everyone. Nathan leads the way onto the final lap of the race. 0.8 of a second coming across the line. Neo has got hardly any ERS left, and he's going to be prone to Justas in behind. He's flying down towards turn number 1. He's not going to be close enough, and in fact, I don't think anybody's going to be close enough. Rocco nearly lunges it on P's. Jeroen is through on Jensen, though, and he's through and he's into 7th. 7th. Rocco's tyres now beginning to go, and Connor now is all over the back of him like a hot rash once again, and Connor to the inside line. He's going to pick up one position. Nathan, though, is going considerably slower, up towards turn number 4. Nathan is having to wear his tyres. He must be in trouble in that front left. That front left looks like it's ready to blow. Neo on the back of him. This is going to be absolutely crucial. Neo, what do you do in this scenario? Connor on the back of Pease tries to switch back out of turn number 8. Tries to get the move done. Not on the outside of turn 9. Surely not by Connor. He pulls to the inside line. What a dummy that is. Down the inside line. That is absolutely ridiculous by Connor. Yes, he forced off Pease off track. Pease, there's a yellow flag in sector 2. That's Dylan going slow. Connor now up to 4th. Rocco's going to have a go at Pease, but he's not quite close enough. Coming through the final couple of corners, though, Nathan is suddenly beginning to pull away. Neo, all of a sudden, is on the back of him again, and Nathan is having to go slow. Nathan is having to go slow. That front left is really, really troubling him. Neo on the back of him. He's only got one more attempt. I think, though, it's going to be Nathan's race. Neo, what does he do? Does he get a quick run out the final corner and go for the win? He has to. Nathan out of the final corner. The Red Bulls are going to come 1-2 in the end. Nathan to the line, wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Neo in 2nd, Justas in 3rd. Connor in the end is 4th. 4th. Absolute ridiculous performance from him. Pease in 5th, Rocco in 6th, Jensen in 7th, Campbell in 8th, Jeroen in 9th, Mutter in 10th. My voice is gone. Verstappen in 11th, Kumblai in 12th. Rudy was very, very sideways at the final corner there. Nearly got overtaken by Fleddy to the line. That's for 14th, 15th. Killably 11th, 13th, just outside of the points. Of course, all of this is provisional. Still waiting on Dylan to finish, coming around the final in the middle sector. But Nathan takes the win. It looked like the 1-2 was on. I thought Nathan, honestly, his tyres were going. I'm not sure if it was in case of the DRS for Neo and behind. In the end, no matter how you look at it, it was going to be a Red Bull 1-2 nonetheless.
Yeah, I think Neo didn't really want to attack, so they might have had an agreement there, because he didn't use the ERS to put pressure on Nathan, really. But if they played it like that, absolute perfection, and yeah, a really important point, and that puts them back in the Constructors' fight, because Verstappen P11, Rudy P14, so Campbell only P8, so that's going to be a big turnaround there. Ferrari's gaining on Mercedes, and Red Bull gaining on everyone. Yeah,
Ferrari, of course, gaining as a result, obviously with that finish from Justas. Really good performance from him, but we'll have to see who the driver of the day is. There's only one man, it's Connor, has to be Connor. It was an unbelievable drive. But the top step of the podium, it is Nathan once again. And Nathan, we called him the King of Portsmouth. He could be the King of Bahrain now, I think, here. Brilliant race from his perspective. And Nathan, of course, he hasn't taken a race win this season. Best position was 3rd in Britain. Before that, it was 4th in France. He gets his well-deserved victory, I think, here in Bahrain tonight. And in the end, I think, as we look back on it with hindsight, that start and him getting away by 2 seconds in the first 2 laps won him the race.
Yeah, and that undercut strategy also worked great. Obviously, he was struggling a bit at the end, but he had the pace. He was probably the quickest guy out there, and he profited from Jurby making that mistake as well. But yeah, pretty well played it to perfection, and he probably gets a well-deserved win, and Bahrain, King of Bahrain, why not?
What could have happened, though, if it was another extra lap on this race, and Neo possibly could have had them on Nathan towards turn 1. If that start finish straight was longer, Neo probably would have got him. Still would have been a Red Bull 1-2 nonetheless. Nathan out on top, Neo in 2nd, Justas 3rd, Connor fastest lap there in 4th from 17th on the grid. Pease, Rocco, Jensen, Campbell, Jeroen and Ruta ran off the top 10. Verstappen and Kumblai ran off the points finishers. Killer Blue, Rudy, Fleddy, Yildirim, Izza and Dylan all finished. Packer and Mariah, the 2 DNFs out of the race. Jav saying Nathan P2 to P1 dominated all race, easily drive of the day. How can you not overlook Connor in terms of the second half of that race? Connor's overtakes, I know he was overtaking them on medium compound tyres for some of that, but his moves, absolutely insane. And we called him an overtaking machine. I think it was last season in Mexico, I think, where he obviously was right on the pace. Connor again right on the pace. If he didn't misjudge qualifying, do you think he would have won that?
Yeah, he would have had a good shot at it, at least. But yeah, great recovery once again. And if you can add Mr. Neo to the party quickly, that would be great because of his settings. I
Oh,
can't add
has
him to
he
the
got
party.
Stranger Danger on? Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, I'm not friends with him, so there we go.
Where is he? Excellent, yeah.
Absolutely terrible. We'll wait for Nathan to do that before we conduct the interviews, of course, expecting the other two to come in as well to the party. Really, really good race that, by the way, in Bahrain. One of the most enjoyable races, I think, of the season. We've had many enjoyable races so far this season, but an absolutely fantastic result. And in the end, it is you, Mr. Nathan, who took the win. Makes up for Portimao quite a lot, I think, in terms of the race. Dominated right from the start. You pretty much had a 2-second gap out of turn number one, out of lap 2. Did that 2-second gap in the end consolidate that, and obviously you took the race win. Did you feel that that gap at the start of the race won you that?
Yeah, just fucking finally after Portsmouth. Yeah, I think obviously there was like a couple of, like, I know Dylan got damage at the start, which held like pretty much everyone back apart from the top 5. And then as soon as Neo said, "Oh, dual rooms like gone wide," and the gap opened straight away, I was like, "Yeah, let's just like drain everything." So yeah, the race literally just became a case of how much ERS can we burn like every straight. But yeah, it was just a case of weighing up whether trying to save ERS or just using like every time like you get out of a corner, because for some reason on this game you can be under 10% and just use like everywhere and it seems to work okay. But yeah, it was just a case of managing tyres and also trying to keep people out of DRS.
Yeah, definitely so. And coming on to that fact of managing tyres, were you having to manage your tyres right at the end of the race, or were you giving DRS to Neo? Because it looked to me as if you were, that front left was ready to go.
A little bit of both. I went to 54 brake bias like as soon as we went on the mediums, just to say, because it was the rears that were like awful in practice during the week. In the end, with the brake bias, it like made them both kind of a bit sketchy. But yeah, the aim was as soon as dual beam spun, it was a case of Neo just save up his ERS a bit, and then attack your stats on lap 28, and then last lap just give Neo DRS, and then just drive slow to just not spin or like not get punched. I think I finished on 73%. So yeah, it was just a case of just not trying to bottle.
Yeah, I think I said onto the penultimate lap you were going to be around 70%, because I saw the blistering occurring on that front left, and with the bearing load around this track, with it being a right-handed track primarily, that front left looked like it was going to go, and that's why I was getting thrillingly excited in the commentary box in the final lap of the race. Montana, though, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Yeah, congrats, mate. I'm really happy for you. You really deserve that. How does it feel to win a race once again in a couple of seasons that you actually deserve to win?
Well, you know, I guess the Portimao one is payback from season 6. So, yeah, but yeah, finally got a win. I think that's kind of just like the aim every season, is to just at least get a win. But yeah, just happy to be back on the top step after Portimao and Britain, which obviously we had pace at Britain, but just kind of the wrong strategy. But I think we made the best strategy here.
Yeah, you say you want to get one win a season, which is probably a realistic target for you. But are you also maybe having an eye on the championship still, being Australia, Belgium, and the Netherlands next? So you think you can gain some points there?
Well, how the season's gone, it's kind of if the season that is like happened so far happens, no chance. But there's a lot of pad, like there's Brazil, Zandvoort, China, so I think second half of this season, like maybe, but it's literally just a case of what happens with Justas and Campbell. I mean, Justas has literally like finished on the podium most races when he's not had problems. So yeah, without Justas, or if Campbell continues his form having problems, it might be a stretch, but I mean, until it's mathematically not possible, I guess that's always the target for everyone. So yeah, just 110% till the end of the season.
Yeah, I really hope that you actually can get involved in that championship fight and don't let it get into your head that you've DNF'd every other race, or like scored 0 points every other race for the last 3 cycles. So yeah, good luck for the next races, and probably speak to you soon on the podium again. Probably the latest is China.
Thank you both for comms. Cheers.
You are very welcome indeed, and I believe, actually, I've just been doing some quick calculation. I think Nathan's now 4th in the standings, if I'm not mistaken. That's to be confirmed, but I have a feeling, because of everyone ahead of him, obviously not really getting as many points as him, possibly Jensen is the only one that could be 4th, but otherwise I think Nathan could be 4th in the standings off the back of tonight. That, of course, is to be confirmed if there's any penalties going to be applied by the stewards. Neo, of course, finishing in P2, and Neo, final lap of the race. I was almost immediately thinking to myself, you're going to go for the move. There's going to be something in you to go for the race win. Was that sense actually there going on to the final lap of the race?
Not really, no, because I was only second because of Nathan, if I'm honest. It was the plan all the way, because I didn't have the pace on the mediums. Like, I think Justus and Julebream were quicker than me. But then luckily Julebream spun, which gave me the chance to actually manage my ERS and go for the move on Justus. And from there on it was just tactical, really. Like, Nathan slowed down, get me into his DRS, which helped me, of course, and there was no intent to overtake him, really.
I still think if there was an extra lap, there's probably something in there. Just 1% of which possibly coming for that move.
We would fight hard.
The walls are closed.
I don't blame you though. That is your best result actually of the season, bar Imola, because obviously you finished 4th in Imola, and now obviously on the podium finishing 2nd. First podium result of the season. Gotta be happy with it.
Really happy here, because Bahrain is usually not a good track for me. I'm supposed to be quick because I'm paired on ABS, but somehow it never really came together. And yeah, it started well with qualifying. I actually not choked my laps for once, which is a nice feeling. And yeah, from there on it was just plan sailing really, and keeping it safe, keeping it clean, and doing El Plan.
L plan definitely worked, I think. How were your tyres towards the end of the race as well? Because we saw from Nathan, obviously, about 73% on that front left. How were your tyres looking? Because they looked a little bit fresher than Nathan's, actually.
Yeah, I put it 1 lap later, and that felt fine for me. I think I was at like 68 or 67, so I felt fine, but yeah, 2 laps more and I would have struggled probably, so yeah.
Still a solid result, I think, definitely finishing in P2. Montana, I think we've reincarnated your voice in this race as well. Any questions?
Yeah, first of all, congrats. I'm really happy for you to get that P2.
Thanks, Goat.
Oh god. Yeah, so I was actually having you on for the win before the race, so I was cheering you on the last lap, so it would have been fine to betray Nathan because it's Nathan, but still, great result. You're looking for more podiums? Any tracks you like coming up?
I think next one is Australia, which is not that great because it's wheel heaven, but points are the targets, and of course the pair tracks like China, Sandford, Brazil. If it's possible, I would take one for sure, but yeah. It's 50-50. Like on some tracks I'm quick, on others I'm struggling more. It's really 50-50.
Yeah, in Australia you never really know because things can go upside down
exactly
quite quickly.
Terrible.
Stuff, so.
But yeah, looking forward to speaking to you again on the podium this season, hopefully. And well done once again.
Thanks, mate.
I think Montana with his puns tonight is living a bit down under, to be honest. There you go. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, quickly moving on. Finishing in P3, of course, is Justas, maintaining that championship lead. And Justas obviously got overtaken by Neo on towards the final couple of laps of the race, but still a solid result for you. P3, you consolidate that championship lead. How was your race?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward from my point of view. I was most of the time in the clear air, so just trying to push as hard as I could. Yeah, it was. I pitted later because I thought lap 7 is a bit too early. I thought Nathan's tires would fade away at the last couple of laps, but yeah, it was tough. Yeah, I just tried to push, but the ABS corners and etc. I came short a bit. Yeah, at the end the Red Bull guys did a really good plan. Yeah, it was. I wasn't thinking about it, I just realized the moment he passed me that they're going to do something like that. So congratulations on 1-2, really good job by them. And yeah, I am personally really happy again on another podium. I think it's the 6th podium in 8 races. So yeah, really happy.
Yeah, really consistent form, I think, being shown in your races so far this season. Obviously, this P3 finish, obviously buoyed on by the fact that you didn't actually score... Did you score a podium last week? Oh yeah, you won last week even in Jeddah. That's my apologies. But it is your 4th podium, actually, in as many races. So, very good job on that. Towards the end of the race, were your tyres beginning to go on? Because there was one point in the race, I think around lap 2021, the gap got down to around 1.2, 1.3 seconds, and I was like, oh yeah, he's beginning to close in, and then the gap got back out to 1.7. Were your tyres beginning to feel the effect towards the end?
It was at the very end of the race, maybe the last 2 laps when I actually felt like the rears are going away. Other than that, it was just making a bit of mistakes, just locking up here and there and earlier, so that's why I pushed a lot, really came close, but yeah, Nathan was ultimately quicker and yeah, deserved win.
Yeah, deserved win, definitely, I think, from Nathan's perspective. Obviously, you deserve podium from your perspective as well. Montana, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Yeah, lava vackra, som Mr. Eustace. That was probably terrible, but I don't care. So, congrats once again, Mr. Consistent, I think we can call you. Apart from Austria, which I actually can't really remember what happened to you there. But
shit show.
Yeah, we can forget about that. But the worst result is a P4, so do you even care about winning, or is it just like podium until the end of the season, so people just can't do anything in the championship?
I mean, it feels nice to win, of course. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it's the consistency I need to keep if I want to get the title. Yeah, I think the main goal is the consistency. Even at these tracks where I consider myself weaker, I mean, I got the podium. So yeah, if I can just keep scoring podiums, I think it's gonna be pretty smooth. I hope.
Yeah, I hope you have a good rest of the season. Probably would be great if you can make it a bit more interesting for us in the championship fight, but we'll see if Campbell decides to drive again properly next race. But yeah, congrats once again on a consistent result, and looking forward to the next ones.
Thank you.
Mark my words by saying this, I think Campbell will probably come back and win next week in Australia. You watch, it's going to be one of those championships where it's going to be consistent to and throwing. And I think, obviously, with Campbell's poor result here tonight, he also now has more than a race win advantage ahead of Campbell in the championship. More than 25 points is what I'm trying to say there as well. Big thank you, though, to the top 3, obviously, for joining the interviews. Big thank you to everyone that tuned in at home. Of course, if you did like the stream, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're new. We're around 13 minutes away, just underneath that, I think, until we get going for Division 2 and Division 5, and of course that action will be starting at 8:10 UK time, so you've got enough time to maybe grab a bit of toast, get in the shower, and maybe come back for 8:10 like I'm going to be doing very shortly indeed. But nobody needed to know that, what I was doing in terms of that, but there we are. I'm going to end off the stream, of course, by these fantastic words. In fact, actually, I will come across to Montana first. Driver of the day?
My man, Mr. Connor, obviously.
Have to agree. I have to agree. Sorry, Nathan.
Bias!
So much bias.
I think just with the second half of the race, the overtakes that were pulled off was simply sensational.
We saw Connor was like flying through the field. Was like, oh, this could be a problem.
It wasn't a problem, luckily, towards the end of the race, though, and Connor, I know, showed the pace. I mean, I predicted him for the race win, and look what happened there. He didn't even get in the top 3 in the end. So, still a good race from him. I've got to agree with Montana. Drive of the day for Connor. And as I say, Division 2, Division 5 coming up in around 12 minutes' time. So, get tuned in for that very soon indeed. I'm going to have the stream by ending off with the 4 words that I always end off streams with nowadays. We stand with Ukraine. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.